The first sign was her perfume. Not the fact that she wore it. Rachel always took care of herself, but the way it changed. It used to be soft, warm, like vanilla and something floral. Now it was sharper, bolder. The kind of scent you don't wear to the office unless you're hoping someone notices. She said it was just something her coworker recommended. Said it made her feel fresh. I told her she smelled different. She smiled and kissed my cheek like she was patting a dog. That's the point, babe. It wasn't just the perfume. It was how she started coming home late. First once a week, then twice, then pretty much every other day. Traffic, meetings, drinks with the team. Marketing, she said, had turned into a 24/7 job. Rachel and I had been married for 8 years. We had our rhythms, our routines. Taco Tuesdays, Saturday grocery runs. That one drawer in the kitchen where we kept everything from batteries to nail clippers to takeout menus we never used. And yet, something shifted. Something quiet. She started laughing at her phone more. Private, amused little chuckles while texting someone I couldn't see. The screen was always tilted away from me. Her phone, once left face up on the table, now never left her hand. I tried not to be the paranoid husband. I tried to be the reasonable one. The kind that says, she's just busy or she deserves her own space. But here's what no one tells you. Suspicion doesn't scream. It whispers. It was late on a Tuesday when I finally let myself look. She was asleep, or pretending to be, and her tablet, synced to the same iCloud account we set up years ago, was charging on the nightstand. I opened notes. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for. But then I saw it. Weekend list. Black lace. Wine toothbrush, he always forgets. Book, just in case we stay an extra day. My stomach didn't drop. It just stiffened, like steel drawn tight. I didn't wake her. Didn't say a word. I just stared at her, sleeping next to me like a stranger in familiar skin. That night, I realized 2 things. 1, she was definitely cheating. And 2, she thought I'd never figure it out. And that was her first mistake. See, I'm not the jealous type. I'm the prepared type. The type who notices when you start keeping a second toothbrush in your bag. The type who remembers what day you changed your phone password, and who knows that your old iPad never got logged out. I didn't explode. I didn't confront her. I started collecting. Emails, bank statements, Uber receipts, cloud photo backups. She had no idea that her entire digital life was still bleeding into a shared folder I'd long forgotten about. Or maybe she forgot. The picture was coming together, piece by damning piece. A hotel in Denver, dinner for 2 in Scottsdale, a bottle of champagne charged to a company card still tied to my name. But the worst part? The name that kept showing up beside hers. Greg. Her boss. Of course. Next part. I didn't change anything about my routine. Not yet. I still kissed her on the cheek in the mornings. Still asked how work was going. Still brought home her favorite coffee on Fridays. I played the role she expected, the clueless, dependable husband. The man who couldn't possibly see through lipstick on receipts or mirrored text threads. The thing about betrayal is, it's loud for the betrayer, but quiet for the one being betrayed, until you stop pretending not to hear it. By this point, I knew enough to be dangerous. But I didn't want drama. I wanted precision. So I got to work. I started with her email. She used a work account, but like most people, she forwarded things to her personal one when she wanted to check them at home. Old habit. Sloppy one. A few keyword searches later, I had hotel confirmations, flight bookings, always solo on paper, but the timing aligned a little too perfectly with Greg's conference schedule. One gem was an email labeled Team Building Itinerary. It detailed a weekend trip to Sedona. Except, her team was just her and Greg. One suite. King bed. Champagne upon arrival. Romantic, right? Then came the credit card statements. She had her own account, but sometimes she still used our joint one. Maybe by accident. Maybe because she thought I'd never notice $89 at Victoria's Secret or a $247 dinner in Chicago on a weekend. She told me she was just decompressing with a friend. I noticed. I kept everything. But the crown jewel, the moment that turned quiet fury into controlled fire, was her company tablet. She left it at home one Thursday. Said she forgot her charger. It was locked, but not to me. She hadn't changed the pin since I set it up for her during the onboarding process. I opened the gallery, and there they were. Not sex tapes. Not explicit shots. Just enough. Her in lingerie. Greg shirtless in a hotel bathroom mirror, taking the selfie like a proud frat boy. Her caption under one image, "Can't wait to see you again." Tonight felt too short. I closed the tablet. Slowly. Deliberately. And I smiled. Because now I had everything I needed. Not just suspicion. Not just theory. Proof. Timestamped, GPS tagged, smugly documented proof. I copied it all to a secure drive. Encrypted it. Printed hard copies. Labeled each folder. I wasn't preparing for a fight. I was preparing for court. And while Rachel and Greg were busy building their affair like a Pinterest board, romantic locations, dim lighting, matching lies, I was building my case like a prosecutor. I reached out to a lawyer, someone who specialized in asset protection and reputational defense. Discreet, smart, with a no-bullshit approach. I gave him the basics and watched his eyebrows rise as he flipped through the files. "Jesus," he muttered. "You weren't guessing." "No," I said. "I was watching." That's the thing most cheaters don't realize. It's not always the big blow-up that gets them. It's the quiet man. The one who listens more than he speaks. The one who waits. Who builds. Greg didn't see me coming. Rachel certainly didn't. But I was almost ready. Just one last piece to set in motion. A party. And a plan. I was going to make sure they both regretted thinking I was blind. I got the invitation a month before the storm broke. A charity gala, black tie, champagne, silent auctions, the whole curated circus. Hosted by our company. Greg, of course, would be front and center. Rachel made a point of leaving the envelope on the counter where I'd see it. "This is kind of a big deal for work," she said, breezing past me in the kitchen one night. "You should come." I almost laughed. Should. But I smiled and nodded. Wouldn't miss it. Because by then, everything was in place. 2 weeks earlier, I'd filed for divorce quietly. The paperwork was airtight. My lawyer and I had included all the necessary documents, infidelity clause from our prenup, full financial disclosures, and a digital dossier thick enough to make Rachel and Greg wish they'd never discovered Wi-Fi. All that was left was timing. See, I could have confronted her in the kitchen. Could have played the angry husband card. But that's not who I am. That would have been for her. A show of rage she could twist into victimhood. No, I wanted a different kind of scene. I bribed the AV tech. $300 and 2 tickets to a Cardinals game. All I asked was that, at exactly 8:15 p.m., he switched the ballroom projector to my file. I uploaded it remotely. Scheduled. Seamless. The night of the gala, I dressed sharp. Black tux, polished shoes, no tie. Clean-shaven, calm, collected. I hadn't felt this steady in months. Rachel wore red. Fitting. She greeted me with a peck on the cheek like nothing was wrong. Like we weren't a few hours away from detonation. "You look nice," she said. "So do you," I replied, and I meant it. Beautiful. Dead wrong. The ballroom was packed. Laughter echoed off the chandeliers. People clinked glasses and pretended their lives weren't held together with spreadsheets and repressed arguments. Then I saw him. Greg. Tall, smug, with that I run the room energy that only men with power and zero self-awareness seem to carry. He spotted me. Grinned. Walked over. "Ben," he said, raising his glass. "Glad you could make it." I tilted my glass toward his. Wouldn't miss it. And then he leaned in close, too close, and said the words that turned everything from suspicion to full-blown proof. "Congrats, man. You're gonna be a dad." I didn't blink. Just stared at him. "Come again." He smirked. "Rachel didn't tell you?" I figured she would have by now. Guess I ruined the surprise. He clinked his glass against mine again, like we were frat brothers sharing a secret. Behind him, I saw Rachel. Her smile froze the moment our eyes met. She knew. She knew that I knew. And I nodded. Just once. I walked to the bar. Ordered a neat bourbon. Waited. 8:15 p.m. on the dot. The music faded. The projector clicked to life. And the first image appeared on the ballroom wall. A text exchange. Rachel, can't stop thinking about last weekend. Greg, let's take the next one off-site too. You, me, no schedules. Laughter died. Glasses stopped mid-air. The room fell into a silence that only truth can bring. Then came the photos. Hotel check-ins. Her in lingerie. Him in a robe. All time-stamped. All geotagged. Each one a knife dressed like a slideshow. Rachel gasped. Covered her mouth. Greg turned crimson. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." I stepped into the light of the screen like a man stepping through fire without getting burned. For those of you wondering, I said, voice level, this wasn't meant to ruin your party. Just mine. I turned to Rachel. Read the file I left at the bar. It's everything. The affair. The misuse of company funds. The lies. I turned to Greg. I already submitted everything to your HR department. And the board. Then I pulled the ring from my finger. Laid it gently on the marble bar next to her untouched cocktail. This is me resigning. From the marriage. From the games. From being your safety net. No shouting. No punches. Just clarity. And with that, I walked out. Past stunned coworkers. Past her frozen face. Out into the night, where the air felt cold and clean. Let her deal with the fallout. I was already planning what came next that I didn't drive home after the gala. I didn't check into a hotel either. I drove to the lake, the one we used to visit before we got too busy for sunsets, and parked near the overlook. Just sat there in my truck, engine off, staring at the water. It was still. Perfectly still. The kind of quiet that doesn't feel lonely, just deserved. My phone buzzed around 11:03 p.m. I didn't look. Just let it vibrate itself into silence. Then it buzzed again. Then again. Text. Voicemail. Another text. By midnight, there were 7 missed calls and 2 voicemails from Rachel. I played the first one. Ben, please call me. I know you're upset. I know. But what you did tonight, that was cruel. We didn't mean for it to happen like that. Can we just talk? Please. The second one was shorter. Her voice shook a little more. Greg is suspended. HR's launching a review. You don't understand what this is doing to me. And there it was. To me. Still no apology. Still no ownership. Just a woman watching the floor cave in and wondering why someone didn't warn her the foundation was cracked. Greg left a voicemail too. It started with, "You son of a," and ended with, "I'll sue you for defamation." I laughed out loud at that one. The kind of laugh you let out when you realize your enemy still thinks the fire is just smoke. He didn't know about the emails, the receipts, the corporate cards she used for conferences they never attended. Let him try. By the next morning, HR had already reached out to both of them. Quietly, professionally, but with that tone, the one that says, "You're not fired. Yet." I made another move that day. Transferred our joint savings into an escrow account. All legal. All temporary. But untouchable for now. The lawyer had already filed the petition with the court, citing the infidelity clause from our prenup. That meant she got no spousal support. 0. She hadn't read the fine print when we signed it. Most people don't. But I had. And then I made my favorite call, an anonymous tip to her company's ethics department. Because, see, Greg wasn't just her boss. He was her supervisor. And where I come from, sleeping with someone in your reporting chain, that's more than a scandal. That's a liability. By Tuesday, the cracks started to show. I got a call from her sister, of all people. She sounded hesitant, maybe embarrassed. "Ben, I just wanted you to know. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this. None of it." Apparently, Rachel had moved back in with their parents. Their dad, who once called me the lucky one for landing a woman like her, wasn't saying much on family calls anymore. Her mom, who used to host bridge nights and show off vacation photos, had gone suspiciously quiet too. And Greg? HR placed him on unpaid leave. Rumor was, the board didn't want a scandal, just a restructuring. Translation, they'd let the dust settle, then quietly remove him through the back door. That night, Rachel showed up at the house. She banged on the door like the cops were inside. I opened it just enough to see her face, makeup smeared, eyes bloodshot, mascara clinging to the last shred of control she had. "Ben, please. You can't do this." I looked her dead in the eye. "You don't live here anymore." She reached for my arm. "They're suspending Greg. I could lose everything." I didn't flinch. "Seems fair. You gave him a baby. I gave him an HR violation." She gasped, hand to her chest. "Real, maybe. Or rehearsed. Either way, I didn't care." Then she said the words I'd been waiting for. "We made a mistake. I crossed my arms, leaned against the frame. Which part? The affair? The baby? Or assuming I'd just take it like a good little husband? She blinked. Silence. You're acting like I wanted to hurt you, she whispered. Rachel, I said, calm as ever. You planned a baby announcement with your boss and a legal strategy against your husband. That's not a mistake. That's a business plan. She left without another word. And I finally closed the door, not on her, but on the man I used to be. The one who let himself get small so someone else could feel big. That version of me? Gone. I didn't leave town immediately. I left quietly. Rented a cabin up near Flathead Lake, Montana, the kind of place where your phone signal dies before your excuses do. 1 bedroom, with stove, stack of firewood out back, and air so clean it felt like an apology. I brought 3 things with me, a duffel bag of clothes, my fishing gear, and a bottle of bourbon I'd been saving since my 35th. I figured it was finally time to open something that hadn't disappointed me. And for the first 3 days, I said nothing. Thought everything. I thought about the years I spent building a life with someone who, somewhere along the way, started building an exit. Thought about every lie disguised as just a late night, or work stress, or you've changed, been. But strangely, I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the way I thought I would be. See, rage burns fast. What comes after? That's clarity. That's when your mind stops screaming and starts seeing things for what they are. Rachel didn't just cheat on me. She underestimated me. She thought I was predictable, safe. The flannel-wearing handyman who'd sigh, forgive, and fix the leaky sink while she snuck off with her boss. What she forgot. I built a business from nothing. I grew up watching my dad leave for work at 4 a.m. and come home with grease-stained hands and quiet dignity. I know how to suffer in silence, but I also know how to move. And that's what I did. The 4th night, a truck pulled into the gravel driveway. I figured it was a neighbor or a delivery guy who took a wrong turn. Instead, it was Eli Mason, college roommate, former co-conspirator in late-night bar crawls, and current corporate lawyer in Denver. He stepped out wearing flannel and a smirk. Well, hell, he said. You went full lumberjack. Eli. I blinked. What are you doing here? He held up a postcard, one I'd sent out as a joke. A picture of a lake, a scribbled message on the back, traded Wi-Fi for firewood. Might not come back. Bet your cry for help, he said, grinning. Figured I'd come check if you joined a cult. We drank bourbon on the porch. No music. No TV. Just the sound of wind in the pines and 2 old friends catching up like no time had passed. After the 2nd glass, Eli looked at me. You really detonated that one. What was it? Public shaming? HR sabotage? Digital receipts? Everything but the theme music, I said. He laughed. Proud of you, man. Always knew you had a dark side. I don't, I said. I just stopped pretending not to see what was right in front of me. He stayed 2 nights. Cooked better than I did. Beat me at chess like he always did. But more than that, he reminded me of before. Before Rachel. Before the house and the routines and the slow erosion of self. On the last night, we sat by the fire, legs stretched out, sipping slow. You know what your problem was? Eli asked. You tried to build a life with someone who was busy building a ladder out of you. That line hit different. Because it was true. I built the house. The foundation. The damn structure. Rachel? She'd been measuring windows for a penthouse somewhere else. The marriage hadn't just broken. It had been built with different blueprints. I came back to town 3 weeks later. Clean shave. Clearer head. Lighter shoulders. The house was still mine. The silence inside? It didn't haunt anymore. It felt earned. Rachel hadn't called since the doors scene. No texts. No emails. No drive-bys. But then something unexpected happened. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hi, the woman said. Steady, no nonsense. My name's Mara. I'm Greg's wife. I froze. She didn't. I think we should talk. We met at a quiet cafe on the far side of town. The kind of place with real sugar jars and chipped ceramic mugs, where nobody asks questions and nobody listens too hard. She walked in wearing a tailored blazer over jeans, hair tied back like she was heading into a courtroom. And maybe she was, metaphorically speaking, Mara. Greg's wife. Soon to be ex, if the steel in her eyes meant anything. She didn't offer a handshake. Didn't waste time. You're Ben. You're Mara. Good. Let's not pretend this is a therapy session. She slid a thick folder across the table. Labeled, tabbed, color-coded. This woman made my own documentation look like a high school project. Everything I've got, she said. Hotel receipts, photos, timelines. A few audio recordings. Your wife wasn't his first, just his latest. I flipped open the folder. Greg was busy. There were other women. Multiple. He wasn't in love. He was in rotation. Rachel wasn't special. She was next. Mara took a sip of black coffee like it was whiskey. I'm not helping you because I care about revenge, she said. I've got kids. A mortgage. A reputation. I'm protecting what's mine. I looked her in the eye. Then why give me this? She leaned forward. Because men like Greg don't think they can be caught. And women like Rachel don't think they can fall. I'm just speeding up gravity. You want leverage? I want closure. We can help each other. And right there, in a booth surrounded by the smell of burnt toast and overbrewed coffee, a partnership was born. We spent the next hour comparing stories, cross-referencing timelines, filling in the blanks. We weren't just trading gossip. We were building a timeline, airtight, watertight, bulletproof. Turns out, Greg had been expensing trips as executive development sessions. Rachel? She was listed as guest speaker at conferences she never attended. All paid for with company funds. Every transaction, logged. I already sent an anonymous tip to their internal audit team, Mara said. But you've got the real powder keg. How so? She smiled, just barely. You were the one betrayed publicly. You were the husband. People will listen to you. I'm just the wife in the shadows. I didn't say anything, but I understood exactly what she meant. Greg had built his career on charm and confidence. The golden boy. The leader. The guy who motivated his teams by taking interns on suspicious business retreats. The minute his image cracked, the whole company would rush to distance themselves. And Rachel? She'd built her entire identity on being the well-put-together marketing genius. The curated Instagram, the charity appearances, the couple's brunches, the public affection. But all of that? Held together by the lie that she was in control. All I had to do was pull one more thread. What are you planning next? Mara asked, voice low. I tapped the folder gently. Not sure yet, but it won't be loud. It'll be clean. She nodded. Good. Let's keep it that way. Before she left, she paused and looked back. For what it's worth. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this. Neither did you. She smiled, tired, a little sad, and walked out, folder lighter, weight shared. And me? I drove home, pulled out my files, and started matching pieces. Her hotel receipts. My bank statements. Their texts. Her calendar. His travel reimbursements. When it was all done, I sat back, sipped my coffee, and stared at the Word document I'd titled Final Playbook. I wasn't angry. I was ready. It didn't end with fireworks. No dramatic courtroom scenes. No final screaming match in the rain. It ended with an envelope. I hand-delivered it to Rachel on a Tuesday afternoon. She was back at her parents' place, and from what I heard, not exactly being welcomed with open arms anymore. Her dad answered the door, then disappeared without a word when he saw me. I guess he'd finally put the pieces together. She came out wearing an old college sweatshirt, hair pulled up, face bare. No makeup. No armor. Just Rachel, or whatever version of her was left. She saw the envelope and froze. Is that? It's everything, I said. Divorce agreement. Full financial breakdown. Signed. Sealed. Final. She didn't reach for it right away. Just stared at it like it might burn her fingers. You don't want to talk? She asked, voice small. I shook my head. Rachel, talking stopped mattering the second you handed him our future like it was a party favor. She looked away. You're really doing this. I already did. She opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Her eyes flicked over the documents, the asset protection clauses, the evidence list, the zero spousal support line bolded in red. You're not even going to fight over the house? It's mine, I said. It always was. The title's in my name. I just never brought it up because I didn't think I needed to. That stung. I could see it. That realization that her parachute was gone. Then she looked up, voice cracking. Greg blocked me. I didn't smile. But inside, I felt something close to satisfaction. Not because I wanted her to hurt, but because, for the first time, She was standing in the wreckage alone. You told his wife, she whispered. No. I gave her a choice, I said. Same as I'm giving you. What choice? Sign it. Walk away. Or I go public. I released the footage. The receipts. The pregnancy emails. Everything. She didn't cry. Rachel never cried unless someone was watching. Today, no one was. She nodded. I'll sign. Good. I walked away with the silence of a man who finally stopped bleeding. That night, I sat on the porch of the house I rebuilt with my own 2 hands. Bourbon in 1 glass. A fire crackling in the pit. No music. No voices. Just peace. A week later, I got a text from Mara. It's done. He settled. Company cut him loose. I kept the house. He lost the car. And the kids know. I replied with 1 word. Clean. A month after that, I started getting my hands dirty again, in a good way. Fixed up the shop out back. Got a call from a dealership in town that needed a consultant for their real estate expansion. Turns out rebuilding isn't just about grief. It's about remembering what you're good at. Then one evening, my phone buzzed. Eli, you good? Getting there, I said. Feels quiet. That's because no one's lying to you anymore. He was right. See, everyone thinks revenge is about fire. About making them feel what they made you feel. But that's not it. Real revenge is silence. Distance. Living a life they don't get to be part of anymore. Rachel's story ended in voicemail and dust. Mine? It started again, not with a bang, but with a man standing on his own porch, smiling at the quiet. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't looking back.